The clip bin in ProTools gives us lots of options for how to display the files we're working with. Now, it would be really handy if we could take this clip bin and sort of drag it off and have it become its own separate window, like you can in some programs. That's not an option. For now, at least we can resize it so that it pretty much dominates the window if we needed to. So far, it's telling us we have 3 files in here. One is a MIDI note. That's the little icon for MIDI. And it tells us that the file itself is a tick-based file. Above that are 2 sample-based files with audio icons. And those are both in stereo, which means we know they have an L and an R embedded in there. Let's leave all that open for now. And I've opened a session with audio and MIDI files so we can explore the differences there. But I didn't want this to be too complicated, so I kept it 2 audios and 1 MIDI. Let's look at what's available to us in this menu. You'll probably want to show at least the top 8 here in the clip bin. You have keystrokes for audio and MIDI. Notice that they skipped Shift Command 3. On a Mac, that's the command for taking a screenshot. And so they skipped over that one, but they did give you 4. So let's jump down and look at the file name. It's gotten a little more complicated now. And if we look at the full disk path, we can see that there's a lot of information here. It starts with the hard drive that it's on. The user drills down, shows you where it really is. This is usually helpful when you thought there was a file in a certain place and it's not there. One of the handiest commands here is select all, Shift Command A. But another very handy command is select unused. Let me jump back to my edit window and we'll not use elephant. Let's trim this down a little bit. Okay, that's what we're used to seeing. So we have clockwork, we have elephant, and if I choose select unused, it will show me that the elephant is no longer being used in my timeline. Whatever you're not using in the timeline, you can select and decide what to do with it. So one of the most handy commands in here is export clips as files. We saw this when we did our clock, when we chopped it up, reassembled it, and exported it. And we saw earlier that if nothing is selected, export clips as files will be grayed out because it's not sure what to export. The last thing on here is timeline drop order. If it's top to bottom and I select 2 audio files, let's put elephant back in and I'll select it this way. And if I drag them to the timeline, it put them top to bottom. If I change this left to right, I'm going to select them the same way here and shift select and drag them to the timeline. It's now put them left to right. One last point to make here. The clip bin contains 1 iteration of clockwork. The timeline contains 3 iterations of clockwork. Doesn't matter if I select it here, here, or here, it's always selecting it here. If I'm getting rid of it in the timeline there, I've deselected it in the clip bin, but I can select it again by clicking here. Deleting it from the timeline does not automatically delete it from the clip bin.